sunny Sunday in Europe. Friday rather. This is the Kadamba Kanana Swami tribute session, weekly gathering of the disciples on the instruction of Kadamba Kanana Swami. And today we have the great fortune of having the association, wisdom, and fortune of being with His Holiness Krishna Kshetra Swami Maharaj, who was one of Maharaj's friends. They've been through a lot together, preaching in Germany and many other places around the world. And they have very different chalk and cheese in terms of their kirtan styles. Maharaj would say very different kirtan styles, but when it came to their focus on the mission, on caring for devotees, very much aligned. And Maharaj had a lot of affection for Krishna Kshetra Swami. So Maharaj, you can address the devotees for half an hour or so, and then if have an opportunity where disciples can ask you the questions that they may have, and the floor is yours. So let us warmly welcome Maharaj by chanting the Vanchakopa prayers. Vancha kalpa taruvasya kripa sindhya Itanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo.
His Holiness Krishna Kshetra Swami Maharaj ki jai. And we ask everybody if they can turn their videos on. It's nice for Maharaj to speak to devotees' faces, smiling, rather than just names and blank screens. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you, Krishna Kirtan Prabhu, for your kind introduction, and thank you all for having me as your guest. I wanted to join. You had the Vyasa Puja event of His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Maharaj a few days ago. I would have liked to join, but I had another commitment. But I'm happy I can be with you now, and actually in this way to have some more time with you. I want to first, I don't know if it's fitting at this time, but I still feel like expressing my condolences to all of you, Kadamba Kanana Maharaj's disciples. I know from the experience of the departure of Srila Prabhupada that we need all the support we can get. And although Maharaj warned us, so to say, he informed us, we all knew several months prior to his departure that this was coming. Actually, he told me, I think before he told most devotees, before he announced, in his sort of typically detached way, which to me was so astonishing. He said, "So my time's up. Yeah, I'm going to be leaving in a few months." That was the way he presented. So what I thought to do, I hope this will be somehow of appropriate for the time. First, I want to also say how much I appreciate the forethought that Maharaj had in compiling this book, Forever Present. I was fortunate to get a copy of the book, and I've been reading it. Clearly, it is specifically for his disciples, but I feel like it's for disciples of I see it as fully beneficial for my own disciples. I feel like making it required reading. And I see that he has made it easily available also in digital form and so on. Anyway, I'm appreciating this book, and I started reading and not exactly note-taking, but I I set down a handful of phrases that I found very striking and catching, and sort of food for thought, which of course he elaborates on in his book. And I think they are kind of gems. He says, in fact, referring to gems, that's on the back of the book, make your spiritual life a gem. I like that. It's saying so much. Make your spiritual life a gem. Make it a jewel. Make it something bright and attractive to offer to Krishna. So that's one expression. Another expression I like is the flow of mercy. I think he must have used this expression a lot. I don't know that Srila Prabhupada ever used this expression. And for me, that's not a disqualification. Quite the opposite. One of the things that I appreciate, always have appreciated about Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj is, I think he is very much an embodiment of what Srila Prabhupada had in mind when he spoke of independent thoughtfulness. In one letter, Srila Prabhupada expressed his wish that devotees be encouraged, that the culture of our society be one that encourages independent thoughtfulness. He did not want, everyone just rank and file, doing, saying, thinking the same. He wanted independent thoughtfulness, and I think that Kadamba Kanana Maharaj very much embodied that. He was an independently thoughtful person with all the right motivations. His motivation, you can all say better than I can, was simply to serve the Vaishnavas, to serve the mission, to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission, and to expand Krishna consciousness, both in terms of outreach, but also inreach. And he saw this very much in terms of what he called the flow of mercy, which in that section, one of the earlier chapters of his book, he says how the flow of mercy is not obstructed. So I like that. We can all enter into the flow of mercy. We can receive and be part of this flow. There's a term in psychology also, you've maybe heard in English, it's expressed being in the flow, I think they say, which means being very concentrated on something in such a way that whatever you do, it's very, it's productive, it's creative, you're in the flow. So the flow of mercy, in my mind, this is a combination of being in the flow, of being focused oneself, but receiving mercy. It is the flow of mercy, which is, what is when you say in the flow, what is that? What's the flow of? It's a flow of mercy. So I like that expression. Also, the sky of devotional service. So nice. He quotes this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, from the last chapter. Akasha Ananta Tate Jaiche Pakigana Jarojata Shakti Tata Kore Arohan. The sky is unlimited, but many birds fly higher and higher according to their own abilities. So in that passage, he's encouraging all of us, just fly as high as you can. Yes, there will be. Another thing I appreciated about Maharaj in his speaking, his lecturing, always totally realistic, always connected to the reality on the ground, so to say, and therefore always able to connect with devotees wherever they are, without, disconnecting from Krishna, always connecting with Krishna. So the sky of devotional service is about flying higher and higher. And of course, Maharaj embodied the encouragement to inspire everyone. You can do more, you can give more, you can fly higher. Don't settle for a lower level of flight if you can fly higher. Another expression I liked, again, sort of connecting with the reality of the day. So the time we all went through of the COVID pandemic, there were lockdowns, and out of that experience, Maharaj had a devotional point to make. And what was that? He said, actually, we are all always in this material world, we are always in lockdown. And but I was reminded as I read that while I at the time was kind of studiously avoiding any travel, Maharaj was out and about, and he was traveling, and he was catching whatever it was, the virus or whatever it was, the COVID, getting sick, but it kind of didn't matter. Just do it, suffer through it, get over it, and keep preaching and traveling. So I was very struck by that. Also, another expression I liked, he said, we become more and more captured by the qualities of Krishna. And I remember it must have been, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, in Ljubljana in Slovenia. We were both there for Janmashtami. And I spoke something, and Kadamba Kanana Maharaj spoke. And I just was reminded when I read this phrase, we become more and more captured by the qualities of Krishna, how he had spoken at that time specifically on the topic of how we know, how we hear about so many details about Krishna. Krishna looks like this, and he dances like this, and he plays the flute, and he has these friends, and they have their names, and endless details are there. We are captured by these details of who is Krishna. And of course, the idea of capturing, we feel perhaps captured by how Maharaj presents how we can be captured by Krishna. We become captured by his description of Krishna. Related to that, perhaps, I was struck by his expression, filling up our consciousness with Krishna. So he's urging devotees, disciples specifically, but find ways to fill up your consciousness with Krishna. And there's a specific example that he gives. I'm sure most of you have read his book by now, but you've also heard from him. He gives an example. And the example is a particular painting. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the artist who painted it. One of the prominent artists of the early years. It's a painting of Krishna as he's returning home to be embraced by Yashoda Mai, and he's returning after having been in the forest with the cowherd boys and the cows. And in this painting, all of the different main rasas are represented. So the gopis are there, sort of peeking from behind, getting a glimpse of Krishna. So the Madhurya rasa is there. The gopas, the young boys are also there. So there's Sakyaras. The parents are there. So it's Vatsalya rasa. And there's some servants there, and there are the cows. So there's we could say Shantarasa, I suppose. All of that is in this one painting. So Maharaj mentions this particular painting as an example of how one can fill one's consciousness, filling up one's consciousness with Krishna. Fill up and fly higher. Another expression, he speaking about Srila Prabhupada, he says, Srila Prabhupada carved out a space for us by translating Krishna consciousness from a traditional form to something that can exist in the modern world. And we are all his assistants. Such a nice appreciation of what Srila Prabhupada accomplished, and a kind of appreciation which expresses also what is the response that one feels impelled to have in appreciating what Srila Prabhupada did, this translation, as he calls it, this traditional form into something that can exist in the modern world. What is the proper response to that? It's that we become his assistants. And he uses the word assistant, I think, appropriately, because that is the sense that he felt we are assisting. Yes, we're serving, but specifically when we think about mission, we are assisting in that mission. We are helping out. Just as Lord Chaitanya was seeking assistance for distributing the fruits of love of God. And then the final expression that I noted is this movement is running on ecstasy. This movement is running on ecstasy. So he's taking the expression, extracting, so to say, from the expression that, you know, a vehicle runs on a particular type of fuel. And he's a little bit playing with that idea to say, what is it that is moving this vehicle, which is the Krishna consciousness movement? Well, it's called a movement, so it's moving. How is it moving? Why is it moving? If it's moving, it's only moving on ecstasy, on nothing less. It's moving on what everyone is hankering for, you could say. So these are a few of the expressions that I appreciate from this nice book, Forever Present. I find them relishable, and I, was always appreciating Maharaj's lectures, always so insightful and thoughtful. Again, as I said, as an independently thoughtful person, he inspired us to be also thoughtful in our practice and in our understanding of what it is we're doing. We are making our lives. We are trying to transform our lives. We are trying to make Krishna the center point of our lives, to imbibe all of what our acharyas are giving us. And that's an ongoing process. And your Guru Maharaj has shown how it includes, it involves, or it requires ongoing reflection. And it's a reflection which brings out the freshness. Every day is a new insight into what is this fuel that runs this movement, the ecstasy of this movement. So these are some of my appreciations of Maharaj. The last time that I saw Maharaj in Vrindavan, I visited him last November, and then I was traveling, and then I came back and I met him. He and Jayadvaita Maharaj came to Kusum Sarovara, and I was able to join them for some time. And then I was amazed that, at that time, Maharaj was, so he seemed to be full of energy. He was he seemed like he was kind of always very present and so on. And after the session with the devotees, it was a question and answer session. After that, I was just walking with him out from Kusum Sarovara. We were chatting, and I told him that I would be leading a retreat at the new Govardhan Retreat Center, and in the next few days. And he said, "Oh, I would like to come." So I noted that, and we were going to arrange that he would come one day and he could speak to the devotees in this retreat. But as it happened, that was just the time when his health took a downturn, and then it became no longer possible for him to visit. So that was the last time I like to associate him in my mind with the last time that I met him. I like to associate him with this particular place, Kusum Sarovara, which of course is a place very dear to Radha and Krishna, where they meet, where Radharani and the gopis are picking flowers, supposedly to worship the sun god and so on. So I was appreciating that I could meet him there at that time. These are some thoughts for now. If there's some discussion or
so yes, thank you so much,
reflections.
Maharaj.
Yes.
So if devotees want to raise their hands using the reactions, then according to the order, just unmute yourself and you can ask Maharaj your questions.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Uravaji.
Hare Krishna. Nice to see you here. That's very kind. I was wondering, I mean, it's nice you told the story about Kusum Sarovar, because I think that was also Maharaj's favorite place, or at least one of the favorite places that he would go on his parikrams. So that was always a nice destination to be. I think he also did once initiations there, which was very, very special moment.
Oh, yeah?
I think.
Oh.
Yeah, it was very nice. I have a different question regarding some times you had with Guru Maharaj, with Kanana Swami in Simhachalan. I don't know if you have some exciting pastime with him there, because I know there's lots of exciting pastimes with Nrsingadev, but in particular, you and him together, I don't know if that ever happened. I'm just wondering.
Well, I can tell you about one quite interesting exchange that we had. It may have been 2018 or 2019, Nrsinga Chaturdasi. It was the morning class, and before the morning class, as he did also this year, Parivida Prabhu had us do a dramatic reading of the pastime of Nrsingadev's appearance, right?
Yes.
So we were there, I guess 5 or 6 of us sort of lined up on chairs on the stage, and we were reading our different parts, and then that was over. And then we were each supposed to speak for a short time, a short lecture. So I think I was asked to speak first. First or second, I'm not sure now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I remember this because...
were you there?
I was not there, but we are very good friends with Parivida.
Yeah.
And he always talks about these dramatic readings, that he really wants to do these things together with like yourselves and of course Kadamba Swami. And I think it was recorded. Not sure.
It was, yes.
Should be.
It's been transcribed also. I may even have it. So I spoke, and I don't know why, but I got this. I was in some kind of mood to, so to speak, defend Hiranyakashipu. Poor Hiranyakashipu. I mean, just see. He's actually a good guy, but he got into bad association kind of thing. And then it was your Guru Maharaj's turn, and he said, No. I'm sorry. He said, Hiranyakashipu was completely evil. Absolutely 100% evil. No question about it. And he spoke on that point for a few minutes. And then what happened is it became sort of like a debate, almost like in a courtroom. And there was a lot of laughter, and we were trying to sway the crowd, so this way and that way. I was trying to say, no, he's actually, you have to understand, he's. I mean, look at how much Prahlad appreciated him. Look at his background. He was, I don't remember what I said, but different things like that. And Kadamba Kanana Maharaj just insisted, no, absolutely not. He's totally evil. And therefore, Nrsingadev came and he was so absolutely angry. Why was he so angry? Because he was so evil, and therefore he had to be finished off. So like that, it went back and forth, and it was a lot of fun. And we didn't plan it. It just happened.
Just happened, yeah.
Yeah, it just happened. So that was a nice exchange. Otherwise, what's in my memory is always just the energetic kirtans, which we all know. Your Guru Maharaj and within about
Sorry, devotees, it looks like we just lost Maharaj. So
I'm back.
he's back.
I'm back again. I'm back again, but I think I'm on a different network. How did that happen? Okay, one moment. Let me try to reconnect. Can you hear me? Yes, okay. Okay, so I was just speaking about his energetic kirtan. After 15 seconds, he would be, full throttle again. That's all. That's what I remember about his kirtans at Singhachalam.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I don't
Hare
see.
Krishna.
Are you here? Okay. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, I would like to ask you, like, you are an initiating guru, and we had a Gurudev who was like very personal, and he knew every and each of us, he knew our lives.
Yeah.
And now he's not here anymore. And I would like to know how you, from the point of view of the guru, how you see like what the disciple should do, because it's just not a matter like choosing someone else to follow. These things are arranged by Krishna.
Yeah.
And if such an inspiration is not coming, maybe now it's too early because it happened lately.
Yeah.
But if over time an inspiration for someone else is not coming, then is it safe for us disciples just to focus on the Vani of our Gurudev, on service to him, or should we really be concerned trying to find someone else to lead us?
Yeah, nice question. I think it's a very individual thing. And as you said, it's so recent that Maharaj has departed. It's just been something over 2 months, I think. And so it's something that you will see yourself over time. And I don't believe you need to worry if you don't feel that need. All of us who are direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada felt, well, I shouldn't say all, because there were a fair number who did feel the need to take shelter of someone else. But I think we can say the majority of devotees felt that it was not necessary, that we had and we still have our relationship with Srila Prabhupada. At the same time, there's shelter sort of with a capital S, taking shelter, Shiksha Guru, and that sort of thing, which is part of our tradition. But there's also just having the encouragement of senior devotees. I think we want to cultivate a sense that we have the more immediate family of our God siblings, and we have a more extended family, which includes God cousins, God uncles, God aunties, and they can all be our well-wishers. And amongst them, there may be one or two, there could be several more senior devotees that we feel some particular connection to, and that's okay. And we don't necessarily have to formalize and say, oh, is this or is this not my Shiksha Guru? It's all part of the family. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Nice to see you. Thank you. I want to thank you for coming with rich blessings from Kadamba Kanana Maharaj to this meeting and reminding us of the instructions as you have, which is, I've made notes of them. They are real gems. You mentioned the being independently thoughtful. I just, so what are the boundaries within which we can be, if there are any boundaries within which we can be independently thoughtful?
That's an interesting question. And I don't know if I could give an answer that would give clear boundaries. But what immediately comes to mind is just the example of your Guru Maharaj. The spirit in which he was independently thoughtful, I think, is a very strong indication of how we could understand what the boundaries are. As I mentioned before, he had the right spirit. His purpose was, I don't think anyone ever doubted his purpose. Or purpose is to serve Guru and Krishna, to spread the Krishna consciousness movement, to inspire his disciples, to inspire everyone, and so on. So I think that is the decisive principle. If we're not clear on our own motivation, then we need to be more cautious about our free thinking, if you like. I was thinking about this expression. There's an expression in English, which I think has a certain history of someone claims to be a free thinker. It may be part of British history, I'm not sure. But a free thinker was someone who was kind of not a member of any church, as I understand. But who is a real free thinker? The real free thinker is the one who is free from the modes of material nature. That's a real free thinker. So if we're not sure, if there's some doubt about maybe I'm being influenced by the modes of nature, then we want to be careful. And that's where we take guidance, or we consult with other devotees, sadhu, shastra, guru, sadhu, shastra, guru, vakya. We consult with the shastra, the sadhus, and the guru. And in the case when the guru has departed, as I was just saying, there are sadhus we can consult with. And we can be, I would say, we can be a little adventurous. We can say, well, I have this idea for, spreading the mission. What do you think? Nobody's talking about this. Why aren't devotees doing this, that, or the other? Shouldn't we be, giving more attention to whatever it is? And that can be very good for making sure that the movement is fueled with ecstasy. Is that okay?
Thank you. I just wanted to say one thing. I was very fortunate to be in that audience at the Kusum Sarovar where you came as well.
Oh yeah.
And I really enjoyed your kind of play on the footnotes. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, thank you. Maharaj, sorry. We speak
Hare
so much
Krishna.
about Guru Maharaj. Yeah, actually, my question was in a similar direction what already Yadunat was speaking about this independent thoughtful. What I can see is, or my experience is that so many devotees have the tendency out of, I guess, fear, or they're worried because they take it very serious and they are worried about falling into traps of Maya. So they get a little bit stuck. So, and also in our temple, I feel like there's so much stagnation. So it's the contrary of what you said about movement and ecstasy, and which is actually also for me a little bit the result of being independent, thoughtful, but it needs also a little bit of courage on one hand, and also on the other hand of we have to be really clear and settled in the scriptures, so that we can discriminate what is really independent, thoughtful, what you explained, and on the other hand, is it now a little bit my own way of doing it, which is not really meant about.
Right.
And I was now making the question of what can I do when, especially in an environment in our temple, there are really, I feel many playing a little bit the role of being the perfect devotee, but it's so much, I feel stagnation.
Yeah.
And when I'm coming and I would like to bring something new,
loosen it up.
Huh?
You want to loosen things up.
Yeah, but then they
shake things
start,
up.
oh, you make offense and so on. So I
Yeah.
feel like there are so many, how to say, things going on, which is not so easy to deal with. And Guru Maharaj, he was amazing. I mean, of course, he was on another situation to be everybody's friend, but anyway, to bring in this energy. But I'm not on this level, and I was wondering, what can I do to be stable? And but also, how can I encourage others to, yeah, take it in a different way and to become more independent, thoughtful?
That's
I
a
mean, I think it's up to me, but
it's a big question. It's what we call a tall order. I've been thinking about this also lately in relation to a presentation I'm preparing, that devotees, Prabhupada spoke a lot about success in spiritual life. And sometimes he spoke about failure. And I think we have a bit of paranoia in speaking very broadly, to a fear of failure, when what we don't understand is that failure is the pillar of success. If we want to progress in spiritual life, we have to be ready to stumble. Of course, we want to keep strictly our vows, and we want to keep all the standards and so on. But there has to be some kind of, in German they say Spielraum, some space, some space to play, literally, or playroom, for experimenting, for trying different things, for trying out different ways of understanding Krishna consciousness, understanding who we are. That's really necessary. Otherwise, as you said, it tends to stagnate. Now, your question is what to do about that. And all I can say is keep talking about it. Don't give up talking about it. And even if others are disturbed, just try to reassure them. You're not just trying to rock the boat in order to sink the boat. You're trying to make the boat move forward. And I think gradually devotees may get the idea, oh, yeah, we may need to shake things up a bit. There's always a tension between what, for better or worse, we tend to call conservative versus liberal thinking, which is a kind of false dichotomy. But there's always this tension. Keep the status quo on the one side and change something on the other. There will always be that tension. And it can be a good dynamic tension, but how it becomes good and dynamic, it really does require, some mature devotees to direct that energy in a good way. That is a challenge. But you're being called, I would say, by your Guru Maharaj to, in that regard, to represent him. So take courage.
thank you.
Maharaj, I just wanted to follow up on the question given by Gopali Mataji in relationship to this, the intimacy of the guru-disciple relationship on a practical level. Maharaj had made it a a conscious effort to be very personal with people.
Yeah.
Having gone through the 80s and all of the complexities that ISKCON went through, where it become impersonal, top down. And I once said to him, I said, you know, the same thing that made you may kill you, that you gave yourself so much to the people, but the people, you know, all the time you gave to the people may also take its toll. And he said, yeah, but this is just me. Now he's gone in his physical form. Some will be mature enough and established enough to be able to continue with the wealth of the experience and the messages and the instructions from the past and in the books going forwards. But what would your advice be to those certain individuals who have acclimatized or habituated themselves to having very specific details, and they're worried about having to open up the whole can of worms with someone else? Can you give some words of, I mean, I appreciate that you've somewhat answered it in Gopali's answer, but I just felt like there are some individuals who really, you know, there's the three different types of guru, the bird, fish, and tortoise that Maharaj discusses from the Upanishads. So, you know, like some very much are going to struggle to come away from the bird relationship, and there's maybe an inclination towards going to someone else, but then they may have an internal conflict of, am I finding a replacement, or are they just being honest with themselves of seeing what their needs are? So forgive me if I'm asking the same question again, but I just felt like that. Just if you could clarify with your experience, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
I'm not sure if I can get a grip on this more than what I said. I mean, what came to mind when you were talking about particulars is just Rupa Goswami's instruction, niyamagraha, that we should avoid the two extremes, niyama agraha and niyama agraha. The rejection of standards and the fanatical attachment to standards. The thing is, our movement, I was explaining this the other day, on the one side, it's sort of like a funnel with a very wide end that's open to everyone, and a very narrow end in which ideally all the devotees eventually come through to, you know, Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotion. But in between, we all come with all of our samskaras, vasanas, our anartas, everything we come with, our baggage, as they say. And we bring all that to the guru. And then he engages us sort of despite everything, despite ourselves. And it can be the case that when the guru departs, we look around ourselves and we go, oh my God, I still have all this baggage. And now I have to deal with it myself. Or what? How am I gonna deal with this? Before I was, it was all taken up, so to say, by the guru, and now here I am. What am I gonna do? Well, I think the first point we have to understand is it really is now the time when we have to take the responsibility ourselves. The example Srila Prabhupada gave, and he gave this in the lecture when I was initiated. He said, it's like when you're learning to fly an airplane. Your airplane instructor is sitting right next to you, and the training is always in a very small, two-seater airplane, the initial training. And after, I don't know what, a certain number of hours of training, then the trainer says, okay, today, he says to the student, today you're going up by yourself. You're gonna fly this plane yourself now. And Prabhupada gave this example. He said, this is how it is. At the end of life, he said, we all have to fly our own airplane. And so what we're doing is practicing. We're practicing for that. We're learning how to fly. And there's really no choice. At the end, it's going to be by ourselves. I was speaking with Jayadvaita Maharaj at Singhachalam during this last Nrsimha Chaturdasi, and we were speaking about your Guru Maharaj's departure. And I said, he did everything so perfectly in terms of how he departed. And Maharaj said, yes. He said he ticked off, the way he put it, he said, he ticked off all the points and then some. He covered everything. He checked off all the things that one needs to do. He had them all covered. And he said, and he added a couple himself. I don't know if that helps with your...
Yes, thank you so much, Maharaj. So we'll take this final opportunity. Does anybody have a question? They can raise their hand, otherwise we'll close the session. Going. Okay, Vishamba.
Okay, can you hear me? Yep. Thank you, Maharaj. I just wanted to ask whether if there's some ways we can hear from you about how to glorify Maharaj, how to, because he gave us a lot of details, and I was just thinking he may have omitted ways to for us to glorify him, and maybe from your perspective you could suggest some more, or yeah, that's all.
Okay. Hare Krishna Vishwambar. I'd have to think about that. Of course, general principles of glorifying Vaishnavas are there. But probably knowing him, what he would want the most, the best way he would glorify him is by being seen by devotees as a good representative of him. I think that would be the best glorification. That devotees would say, oh yes, just see, here's someone who's really imbibed somehow or other the spirit of his or her Guru Maharaj, and he's or she is, carrying the baton, carrying the torch further. I think that would be the best. So you can do it, Vishwambar. Okay.
So thank you so much, Maharaj, for giving your time this evening. Indeed, it's very nice on the Vyasa Pujas or the memorials that followed Kadamba Kanana Swami's disappearance. The speakers would only get 5-10 minutes. So in these tribute sessions, the devotees, his friends, so he gave a list of all the seniors that he called his friends. You get this opportunity to really not only speak about him, but then to continue the support that he wanted for his disciples. So thank you so much for organizing to be with us this evening. And devotees, I'm sure, will see Maharaj as he travels the world, sharing Srila Prabhupada's teachings, and they can connect with him. So devotees, we see you next Friday. Maharaj, we'll see you soon. We wish you good luck with your preaching. Hare Krishna.
Much Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpa dhruvascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Krishna Kshetra Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna.